In today's video, I'm going to give you guys a review on the pre-workout Mr. Hyde. I'm going to go over the ingredients and the dosage to see if they're all enough to be an effective pre-workout. I remember when I was younger, I went to the gym and they had these pre-made pre-workout bottles that were from Mr. Hyde. It was really cool. It's not like the C4 or like any energy drink that they have nowadays. It was a bottle of water, and then in the cap, they had the actual powder, and what you did was you press on the cap, broke the seal to make the pre-workout powder go into the water, and then you shook it up. I remember I always felt so jittery. I think they had like 300 or 400 milligrams of caffeine in each of them. There's a bunch of different types they had. I bought the signature series that you can get at Kroger or supermarket. I've seen a lot of things on the internet say that, oh, they put a different formula in the supermarket compared to when it's a supplement store. But I looked online and it's the same exact ingredients and the same exact dosage. I do want to preface that I'm not a doctor, nutritionist, or dietitian. This is just a review based off my experience. Let's go into the first ingredient, beta-alanine. I've actually talked about beta-alanine in depth in another video that I made if you want to check that out. In that video, I basically go over some studies of beta-alanine, the type of dosage, and how it benefits you when working out. But in short, beta-alanine is an amino acid and it's a precursor to L-carnosine. What a non-essential amino acid is an amino acid that your body already makes. You don't necessarily need to supplement with. An essential amino acid is an amino acid that you get from outside sources like food. From that video, I talk about how beta-alanine has been shown to reduce muscle fatigue when you're exercising. In these studies, it recommends that you do an initial loading phase of maybe about 6 grams before you go down to a maintenance phase. A lot of these pre-workouts don't have the loading phase of beta-alanine in them, so I always recommend people buy beta-alanine by itself in addition with the pre-workout that they're taking. Mr. Hyde does have the beta-alanine at the minimum dosage of 2 grams, but that is the minimum of the maintenance dosage. Under beta-alanine, we have creatine. Creatine is one of the most researched supplements in the fitness industry. A recent study done in 2021 has been shown to increase ATP production as well as decrease ATP degradation. ATP stands for adenosine triphosphate. Simply put, it just helps with energy. So I'm going to replace ATP with energy. This study just reiterates what people have been saying for a while now. Supplementing with creatine helps boost your energy production for short bouts of high intensity movements. And putting creatine with beta-alanine is really smart because the beta-alanine helps reduce muscle fatigue while creatine helps increase the energy production. Just like with beta-alanine, it is recommended that you do an initial loading phase of creatine for 5 to 7 days at about 20 grams. After that initial loading phase, you can drop the creatine level down to about 3 to 5 grams. This brand of Mr. Hyde only has 1 gram of creatine per scoop, so it's really underdosed even for the maintenance phase. The next ingredient is arginine silicate inositol, or ASI. This is a compound with an amino acid called arginine bonded with silicate, and the inositol stabilizes this compound. It is a nitric oxide booster, so it improves the pump when you work out. One study showed that ASI not only helps the pump during your workout, but it helps pre-workout energy levels as well. And ASI also has a brand name called Nitrosigine. On the website, of course, they have their own studies, but what I was really looking for was the dosage recommendation. The previous studies I saw said that the participants took 1,500 milligrams of nitrosigine. I wanted to see if there was a minimum recommended amount. From the website, it does say that most of the studies are done at 1,500 milligrams. However, a minimum recommended dosage of 750 milligrams, you can still see benefits. And that's good that they have a bigger range, but that's bad news for Mr. Hyde. Mr. Hyde only has 500 milligrams, so it's another ingredient that's underdosed. After that, we have L-Citrulline aspartate acid on a 1-to-1 ratio. If you watch my Bucked Up review, you'll see that they also have L-Citrulline as an ingredient, but they have it mixed with malic acid at a 2-for-1 ratio. L-Citrulline is a precursor to L-arginine. And like we said about L-arginine, it is an amino acid that helps you with the pump in the gym. But does L-Citrulline help with anything else in the gym? Well, if you're a weightlifter, not really. However, there is one study that says it can help with aerobic exercise. This study used cycling, and what they found was that the group supplementing with L-Citrulline finished 1% faster compared to the placebo group. Now, that may not sound like much, but it is an 8-day study. So I'd say that's pretty good. How much should you take? Well, the recommended dosage for exercise is 3 to 6 grams of L-citrulline and 6 to 8 grams of citrulline malate. But let's look at what Mr. Hyde has to offer. It is at a 1-to-1 ratio with aspartate acid, so it is half L-citrulline, half aspartate acid. The dosage for the L-citrulline aspartate acid is 500 milligrams. It's not even a gram, so it really is underdosed. If you're enjoying this video, make sure you like and subscribe so that you keep getting more videos just like this. I also have an email list that you can sign up for where all of my subscribers will soon be getting a free workout routine. The next ingredient is choline bitartrate. Choline is a nutrient that's similar to B vitamins and is responsible for muscle movement as well as muscle integrity. There was one study done specifically for older adults to see what would happen if they reduced their choline levels while they were working out. And they saw that those with lower choline levels had diminishes in their strength compared to the placebo group. You can find choline in your food and your body does already make it. I am finding choline a little bit more in pre-workouts, just in different names, such as alpha GPC and bucked up. There was no definitive answer on the dosage for choline bitartrate. They range from 500 milligram all the way to 3,500 milligrams. And because there's really no recommended dosage for exercise and Mr. Hyde has 500 milligrams, we can say that that's the recommended dosage that they have. L-theanine is the next ingredient and it's an amino acid that's generally used to promote relaxation and calmness. Most studies that you see on L-theanine when talking about exercise are used for post-workout, but I was able to find one study for pre-workout that mixed L-theanine with caffeine, which of course Mr. Hyde also has. They mentioned that the combination of the two ingredients combined increases cognitive function as well as reduces the jitteriness caused by caffeine. That would be the benefit of having both together pre-workout. In this study, the participants used 100 milligrams of theanine and 50 milligrams of caffeine. And they used coffee and tea in this study, so that's the reason for kind of the low numbers. If you do a simple Google search though, you'll find that 100 milligrams seems to be the recommended dosage for L-theanine. However, Mr. Hyde only has 26 milligrams, so again, it's underdosed. Now we have N-acetyltyrosine, a precursor to tyrosine, and tyrosine is a precursor to dopamine and norepinephrine. But how does it relate to exercise? Well, it's hard to tell. Because so many studies have had so many different results, it's hard to give a definitive answer. So it is hard to say if it is beneficial for a workout. There is one common theme though, and it's that participants seem to have an improved cognitive function during stressful situations. There is a study that varied the dosage depending on the person's body weight in kilograms. According to that study, I would take 1.2 grams of tyrosine. And healthline.com states that you can take anywhere between 500 milligrams to 2,000 milligrams of tyrosine for exercise purposes. So I fall right in the middle. And Mr. Hyde once again has a dosage of 26 milligrams. Now on to the ingredient GABA. GABA is similar to L-theanine in that it's used to promote relaxation and calmness. But what about exercise? Well, there's one study that suggests that GABA helps promote growth hormone in the body. But here's the thing, this study was done post-workout, not pre. And not only that, but they paired GABA with whey protein. They took 21 untrained individuals, had them supplement GABA with whey protein for 12 weeks and do 2 days of resistance training. They did see an increase in muscle hypertrophy, but they said with the limited amount of people, there was more research that had to be done. And again, this was all done post-workout, not pre. But for argument's sake, we can say it's just as beneficial for pre-workout as post-workout. So how much should you take? Well, this study in particular used 100 milligrams of GABA. And because they seem to have results from this dosage, I'm going to say this is the recommended dosage. And Mr. Hyde only has 13 milligrams. Now, Mr. Hyde has a stimulatory matrix, meaning combining all these three ingredients, it totals up to 200 milligrams of caffeine. But there is something I noticed when I was reading the tub for the stimulatory matrix. So it says that it has 222 milligrams of caffeine total in it. But when you look at the caffeine meter, it says that Hyde's signature has 196 milligrams of caffeine in it. So I'm not sure which one it actually has in it. Caffeine consumption depends on the individual. However, it is recommended that you take no more than 400 milligrams of caffeine per day. So if it really does have 222 milligrams of caffeine, I think that's a good balance. Now, the first ingredient is caffeine anhydrous. This is supposed to give you an immediate boost of energy. And the second ingredient, dicaffeine malate, is supposed to feel smoother as well as last a lot longer than the caffeine anhydrous. Combining these two is smart, I think, because it gives you that really initial energy boost, but then it also continues throughout the day without having too much of a crash. But going so far into this ingredient list, I don't know if the dicaffeine malate is dosed enough to counteract with the caffeine anhydrous. The caffeine anhydrous is dosed at 169 milligrams and the dicaffeine malate is dosed only at 37 milligrams. When I take it, I don't really feel any crash, so I can say maybe the dicaffeine malate helps. And the last ingredient of these three is teacrine, which comes from tea and it reacts the same way just as the previous two. But the question is, does it give any other benefit other than being a stimulant? Not really. There's one study done in 2019 that tested the brand teacrine, and they found no significant difference in anything like strength, power, or endurance when doing any weightlifting exercises. In this study, they used 150 milligram to 300 milligrams of teacrine, and Mr. Hyde only has 16 milligrams. So if the participants didn't feel any difference after taking 150 to 300 milligrams of teacrine, I can't imagine you feel anything from 16 milligrams. I'll be honest, this is kind of a disappointing review because I paid for it. It was 21 bucks. That's kind of why I was motivated to buy it. But mostly all of these ingredients except for like 2 are underdosed. So I don't know why they put any of these ingredients in here if they're all either underdosed or severely underdosed. But I hope you learned something today from me reviewing this pre-workout, and now you can keep this in mind for the future. Thank you guys so much for watching the video.